Hello and welcome to the Echo Chamber podcast. My name is Tony Groves and today we're talking Home Sweet Home. As always, I'm joined by my co-host and the man who wants you to know that he appears on Tinder under his handle, Big Daddy Woke Bro, Martin McMahon.
Oh, listen, I can't tell you. I'm looking at 4 legs here. They're bare. These two are wearing shorts. Summertime. This is ugly this is just ugly
this
beyond.
This is as good as it gets.
The fella who waxes his head is giving out about a bit of skin, huh? Much more importantly, we're delighted to be joined in the Tortoise Shack by the founder of Home Sweet Home, stand-up comedian, activist, fellow Ballymunner, Dean Scurry. Dean, you're a bit of an urban myth around here, and especially in this little office where we've had several people come through here, and everybody quietly tells us you're the instigator.
Yeah, no, I like to keep it that way, as in be the myth, just because you can be nimble, you can be, reduce the attack services, because if you're gonna try and do the stuff that I'm interested in doing, you can't be too out there, you can't be too braggadocious, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of just have to tip away, plan, think, strategize, make connections, and then once in a while do some interesting actions.
Yep.
I suppose we go back then to the start of that, and what the founding moment of that was allegedly the moment where you had the guys around. You're up in the Axis in Ballymun, and they're talking in the year of the centenary of the revolution, and I think it was more or less you put it to them that what revolutionary acts have you guys ever done?
Yeah, it happened before that. It kind of happened in the Axis a couple of years before that, where myself and John Connors and Damo came together. It was the first time the three of us met, and I looked at John and said, we're going to do something. It was one of those moments. We're going to do something together because this is just too interesting, this energy. And then we kind of hung out and, got involved in doing a few things. And John got a few guys, involved in cardboard gangsters and so on. I was looking from afar going, this is interesting because we can start to, really retell the narrative of what it is to be working class. And I had done a few other bits like that. I'm making being part of making a documentary called Broken Song, about working class hip hop heads and retelling that kind of narrative. And then myself and Damo had the idea of a powwow, which came from a conversation with a Choctaw Indian guy that we know. And a lot of people know his name
we do it, yeah.
Is Gary White there. So
he's based out on the West Coast, I think.
Yeah, he's out in, he's a refugee now out in Donegal, I think. So he kind of planted the seed of just having a sit around. And I was at a powwow once in Chicago, and it blew me away. It was really interesting. It was very community orientated. There was a lot of ritual and all this type of stuff, and stuff I wasn't familiar with. But the basic concept was these guys came together and they chatted about what was needed, what was necessary in their own communities. So myself and Dempsey decided to pull about 10 people together. And it just so happened that they were all guys for the first one, because I hang around with blokes, Yeah. And we had to chat, and there was a bit of critique. Oh, there's not enough women here. And it was probably about 2 years ago when all that, everything has to be balanced, and all this identity politics was kind of bubbling under. And I was like, oh, yeah, whatever, yeah, okay. So I invited then about 25, probably 30 people, including people like Adi Roach and all, and the former president, what's her name, Mary McAleese. I invite anybody. That's just the way my head works. Yeah. We're in Ireland. You're a phone call or a text or an email away from anybody. Just get them into the room. And if they turn up, they turn up. Like I invited Frances Black out to Ballymun last week, and she turned up. And people were like, how did you get Frances Black?
I asked her.
Just said, Frances, do you want to do something with Ballymun? And she was like, absolutely, let's do it. And I think some people come to Ballymun, and for them it's like a privilege because they're going into a world that they very rarely see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're in the city centre, or they're around government buildings, or they're in their offices or whatever like that. And to come to Ballymun and to meet mad jokes and hang out and relax the fuck is a privilege sometimes. So I invited about 25, 30 people to the Access, and it was all shapes and sizes, and there was a couple of those Twitter activists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Slacktivists or whatever.
Martin,
And they had these big Instagram profiles and all this type of stuff. So after a little bit of just, chilling and chatting and meditating and just a bit of relaxing, and I said to me spiel of, why I invited people here, kind of it got down to where, what the fuck are we doing here? What do we want? What's our vision for this country that we live in 100 years after there was a vision that was set out? And, we done that whole, centenary thing, and it was kind of lost in this country about actually what the potential of a centenary was. It was, there was a bit of a parade here.
We were gonna have a festival, but it wasn't so much it was lost sight of really what the Constitution was.
It was very embarrassing. It was juvenile for me. You know what I mean? Actually, I had this thought this morning, right? This is kind of where the whole powwow and home sweet home thing came from. I think that Ireland is 11 years of age, probably 12 years of age. So for every 10 years since 1916, we're like a dog.
Yeah.
We grew up
1 year.
1 year. So we're kids. We're basically kids. We're going on like dopes. We're going on like kids, spoiled kids. We can't have adult conversations in this country. We cannot, absolutely.
Like they don't want you to have an adult conversation.
No, I'm not even talking about conspiracy as in us and them. As a country, we cannot have an adult conversation. We're just incapable at the moment.
And it's interesting because you said the word powwow, and I remember when you used that word powwow, people accused you of cultural appropriation.
Yeah. And I tell you what, it wasn't working class people from Ballymun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who had shit to do, who had survival to be getting on with. You know what I mean? And that's kind of a poke at middle class liberals. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's kind of
you're kind of looking at
we've got bigger fish to fry. If you're poor and you're from a working class community, you have other shit in your mind.
Oh yeah, but you know the narrative. There's no class problems in Ireland. That's the narrative. There's no class problems. Class is never mentioned as an issue. Class never brought up as a subject.
So that's why I'm saying we're children. We're juvenile. Because if class isn't an issue in this country, let's just go back to locking kids up. Let's just go back to putting women into Magdalene laundries. Let's just go back to selling kids off to the Brits to experiment on them. You know what I mean? What are we at if we don't think there's a class issue in this country? When we have, the numbers are irrelevant, but when we have 10,000, minimum, probably 100,000 people
you've 10,000 declared homelessness. You've got people who are couch surfing, people who are in tenuous. You've got people who are 30 days away from losing the roof over their heads, and then you've got 147,000 mortgages that are in the non-performing loan category.
The figures are irrelevant, really.
Yeah, the numbers are.
Here's a figure that is interesting. €1 billion was spent in my community, and we don't have a town centre. We don't have a shopping centre.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's an interesting conversation that I would like to have out in the open. €1 billion doesn't fall out of the sky. That was planned. It's strategic. It's in boardrooms. It's in meetings. There's records.
But when they were, once they knocked the towers and they rebuilt it, it was all Section 21. I read about this. The hotels were Section 20. It was all tax fucking breaks. The whole thing was tax breaks.
Well, and we've seen the fallout. Like that hotel fire again. Very lucky no one died, but that building is.
If you didn't look at that and think Grenfell, if you didn't look at it and see it and think it,
the fire should not be able to move down floors, and it moved down floors.
Oh yeah, so the kids looking at it were texting on Facebook going, "There's stuff dripping behind the windows, dripping down," and it's setting and I was like, "All right, this is weird." Anyway, I invited people to access in Ballymun because there's a room there that I can get. And, it was really interesting because I think John Connors put it on the line. John Connors said, "It's great to see us all. I'm sure you're all absolutely amazing. But what the fuck are we doing here? If we're not doing revolutionary stuff, I'm out of here."
Okay.
Yeah? Because what else are we just trying to do? Make friends and, pretend nothing is going on? And myself and Damo Dempsey and Terry McMahon were kind of spouting the same type of stuff. And I was fearful that my agenda would be the predominant one, because I'm like a big bloke in the room with a big Ballymun voice going rah rah rah. So I kind of just sat back, and at the interesting conversations that were going, and then people started to drop out of the room, and just stand up and walk out of the room. And I had people call me the next day, 2 days, a week, 3 weeks later, kind of like in shock, going, what the fuck was that? You know? And my kind of response was, that's what's needed. That's what's needed here. Yeah. In order for us to go from being juveniles to attempt to become teenagers, to attempt to become an adult, as a kind of analogy of this country, we need to have the really, really difficult conversations until they get extremely difficult, and then talk about why we feel uncomfortable there. You know what I mean? And the repeal stuff is ideal for this. Let's talk about it until it gets really, really difficult, and then let's talk about our feelings and why it's difficult and why we cannot get past that. Because that's the thing that takes us from being children to being adults.
Okay, but like you say, the repeal stuff and the things that people have, like we keep hearing the argument that, I'm for repeal, but I'm uncomfortable with the 12 weeks thing. And yet, if you were to have that conversation out, for me now, if you have the conversation out, these things have been done by experts to show the real reasons medically and why it's important that 12 weeks is actually the limit where we're going to have this conversation.
It's irrelevant. All the numbers are irrelevant. If you look at a visual of the world, and I think Brendan Ogle put an image yesterday I was looking at. So it's all the countries that have abortion in green and all the countries that don't have abortion in red, yeah? Mm. And Ireland sticks out in Europe and kind of the Western world, red. We don't have it.
Well, you see, for me, it's the argument, as you say, all the numbers arguments, all that's lost on me. It's lost on me because this is really kind of simple, and this, as you say, we can't move on. They're fighting the same fight about this they've been fighting for
1983.
And I'm listening to all this, and to me, it's a no-brainer. It's just simply a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you let a woman decide what a woman does with a woman?
That's what I tweeted yesterday. I'm not a woman. I don't have a vagina. I'll never have another body grow inside my body. I'll never be raped by a man, hopefully. And I'm not a woman. So I love women and I'm going to trust women. And now I know people can, deconstruct the trust women argument, but that's my position.
Okay.
I trust me mammy, I trust me wife, I trust me sisters, I trust any girls, any women that I know, because I never have the privilege of having another body inside me. I'll never have that perspective.
Well, my ma had the power of life and death over me up to about 12 years of age, so I don't see what the problem is. You know what I mean? I don't see what the problem is.
Your mum still has the power of life and death over you, mate.
Where is he? I believe I have.
And she has the power of life and death over me as well, I can tell you.
I think I have an 85-year-old northern city woman living inside me. How are you? What's up? Where's your sausages? What are you doing? You look great. You look great. And it's seeing on.
Cairns is sausage.
Yeah. You're the spit your elf now.
But I find it interesting that the people just dropped out because things were getting more and more revolutionary as
that's what it seemed like. Yeah, maybe they might have their own perspective. It looked like they stood up and they walked out because we're not into this. This is not our thing. I just want Instagram fame. That's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah, there's a lot, but there is that. But that also is where you say where people get uncomfortable. But if you want to actually change things, you have to you can't change. Everybody kept hearing for the last 12 months and the 18 months with the centre must hold in the Dáil. They kept saying the centre must hold when the elections were the last election was going on, keep the recovery going and the centre must hold. And if the centre holds, that means nothing changes. And if nothing changes, that means there's no progress. And there's no progress, what the fuck are we doing this for?
Yeah. I wrote a rap, actually. I manage rappers, right? I ran this record label in Ballymun called Working Class Records for about 10 or 12 years. Done loads of albums, about 17 albums, done a film, played with the Wu-Tang Clan and all our heroes, Sugar Hill Gang, and played in New York and blah, blah. People were always going, Dino, give us a rap. And I'm like, I don't rap. But I wrote a rap for the water movement.
Yeah.
Right? And it was actually for the Right to Change movement. And it was all about change. We have the right to change. Put your shoulder to the wheel. This is not about blaming people or, pointing fingers. We need to grow up. We need to change. Things need to move on. because we're just stagnant in this. And that's really what I'm interested in. And the kind of, the one that Gandhi throws out, be the change you want to see in the world. Yeah. And that for me is action. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Let's not just talk about it. Let's not tweet about it. Let's not take pictures that looks like the thing that we want. Let's do the actions of the thing that we want. And that, for me, I couldn't have done it better than I done with Apollo House, because what we built in Apollo House was a mini version of the possibility, you know, where it was love. It was responsibility and accountability, but love was the overriding thing. And I just think that it's a really powerful idea. But when you see it in the real world, it's the answer. It's undeniable when you see it in the real world. And you can ask any of the people who came in, probably ask Francis Black and Christy Moore, ask Panty. Well, Panty came in, she was like, wow, whatever you have here, it's a bit mental because there's mad jokes running around, but it's really, really interesting. There's a lot of love in here.
As you say, love. I found it quite funny when there's a friend of mine who said to me, I'm not an activist, I'm not this, I'm not the other. But he was up in IKEA and across to Gulliver's to Homebase, and he was saying, give us your duvets, give us your things, give us your that. Mm-hmm. I said, you're not an activist. You look fairly fucking active to me, pal. You know, it energized a lot of people. It gave people a vision of how it could be.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it was betrayed and John put it that once when they negotiated with Simon Coveney, and he made these promises. He stood up and he made these promises. Yeah. I don't think Simon Coveney was ever sincere about those promises.
100% not. And John also mentioned that we and Jim Sheridan and Terry McMahon and a few others mentioned we shouldn't have gone to court. And half of me believes that, and the other half was like, let's try the bleeding thing and see what happens. Because I've never been in that scenario. So personally, I wanted to learn from it, because all we done was plant seeds. You know, and if Ireland is 10, 11 years of age, the idea that we can have equality is even younger. You know what I mean? No, I actually don't even know what equality means anymore, because my head is kind of... Have you been listening to Jordan Peterson? Yeah. It's fucking really interesting, man. It's great, because I remember doing a post last year, equality, equity, this and that, and then I look and read his type of stuff, and it helps me reflect and break down the stuff that I'm actually saying. So we're only really planting seeds of something different, of change, of something that's not what it is now. And what it is now is a certain group of people have great power, great privileges, and great access to opportunities, and a lot of people don't. And I come from a community where the majority of people don't have access to opportunities, and they have a limited amount of options. And what I'm trying to do is bring more opportunities and options to my community. And that's why I'm on fire when I meet people like Owen Roddy and Philly McMahon and a young guy called Ryan Lincoln, who's on his 5th film. He's just starring in his own film called Kissing Candies.
Okay.
Like, that's a sentence that would never, ever be said in Ballymun. Somebody's on their 4th or 5th film. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Even though someone like Bono grew up in the shadow of the Ballymun flats. It never breached over the wall. We just never had it.
You went to school down the hill.
Yeah, that's another bone I have to pick, because the area there in my head years ago was Ballymun, and then they just changed.
Oh, it drives me mad.
Yeah.
And me ma,
Glasnevin Avenue.
Yeah, me mum used the word stigma once.
Yeah.
I said, "Man, why are they changing the name from
Ballymun Avenue to Glasnevin Avenue?"
And she was saying because of this stigma.
Yeah, that's true.
And I was like 10 years of age, and I was like, that's fucking interesting, man. That's interesting.
I tell you, I was at a conference with a lot of big bankers in a big hotel, and they had this thing.
I mean, I have visuals of cocaine in the wharves.
Where they'd spent all this money for all these professionals to come in. And they paid everybody to do their journey line. And there was a director of one of the big banks one of the big 3 banks in the country. And he was asked to tell his story on stage. And he told the story. And he said, my name is X and, I'm from Ballymun, but we call it Glasnevin. 15 minutes later, this went out to the floor and someone said, would anybody like to share? And it came to me and the microphone came to me and I said, I'm from Ballymun and I still call it Ballymun, mate. And the room went, now your man rang me half an hour later and he said, he said, yeah, that was pretty funny. You got a good dig in there.
Very good.
Yeah. But I still don't think I ever was treated the same again. But I did find, there was a stigma, and there still is a stigma.
You challenged the patriarchy. You challenged the circle.
Oh, well, I didn't know. But when
addresses in Ireland have always meant something.
Where
you're from has always meant something.
Yeah.
That's how we middle class shit up.
That's how we got into nightclubs. Where are you from? Shaughnessy Avenue. And literally, you'd be like 10 metres in Shangan Avenue.
Out in the door, Tamangas and Brendan there standing there with the arms crossed saying, no, you can't come in.
Yeah, nuts. What I'm trying to do now is for as many people as possible from my community to stand up, and it's a badge of honour. Kind of like someone like Emma using Tala as a badge of honour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, she's going to kill me now because I forgot her name, the senator.
Lynn Rowan.
Lynn uses Tala as a badge of honour now. You know what I mean? I just think that's really, and I'm going to say this a lot of times, that's interesting. That's really interesting. And the powwow was interesting, and the seeds we set in Home Sweet Home was interesting, and our use of social media, and our use of people like Jim Sheridan, and, then his connection with Saoirse Ronan, and all these types of interesting little connections.
But there's a huge struggle going on now at the moment, and we're kind of, we typify it here, the guests we have in here. Right? Mm-hmm. We have people from everywhere. We're not interested, are you? Not that we're not interested. Is it important that you're from Ballymun? Not a job. It's who you are.
Yeah.
So we're bringing in people we like, because we like the voices, and we bring in the voices. But you look at what's going on in RTE and TV3 at the present moment in time. They are so stuck with the same voices they ever had, and their listenership is just falling off the fucking edge of a cliff.
Yeah.
And they're the same little round circle of fucking nepotism.
I think it's great. For me, it speaks volumes that, other than Glenn, nobody else from the movement that I was involved in was invited onto the Late Late Show to talk about.
Yeah.
Home Sweet Home, right? Now, okay, so there's really interesting things that happened at the time. This is how well it works, okay? And I've probably mentioned this before, but I'm going to say it here now. So Glenn was on the Late Late Show talking about something that we had already done, and we hadn't done it yet, but the show was going out the next night.
Right, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we've taken a building. We actually hadn't even walked into the building yet. Yeah?
Mm.
And we're doing this active civil disobedience. And there's hundreds or whatever people in the audience who are all on social media.
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
And then about half an hour later, Peter Coonan, Fran from Love Hate, posted all the details of Dino and Damo and the lads are down at such and whatever, Mulligan's or whatever, and they're just about, go down and give them a hand. We hadn't even taken the building yet. You know what I mean?
So did that up the ante? You had to move fast.
That then turned it, made it live, made it real. And about 3 days before, Jim Sheridan was on Des Bishop's show, This Is Ireland.
Yeah.
Saying, we're just about to do something here. We're going to take a building. We're going to do an active civil disobedience, blah, blah, blah. And for me, the reason behind that was they were just chess moves to see, is this government awake? And this police service awake? Are these people on? Because I'm putting this right out in front of them, and we're getting some of the biggest names in this country to go, we're doing this. And literally, we walked up to the building, and it was me and Brendan and Mattress Mick and Damo and John and going, why aren't we being taken out here? You know what I mean? Why isn't there vans and vans of guards?
Okay. There's 13,000 cops in the state at any one time. Civil Defence Forces brings you up to about 20,000 people. There are two centres of media, one in Montrose, one out in wherever, Valley, whatever you call it, out there. That's all you need to take, right? You don't need to cause any great disruption in this country. As long as everybody was able to get up to go to work on Monday, nothing changed, pubs were open on Friday, you get away with any revolution in this country.
100%, 100%, yeah.
No problem.
And when you say the awake, it proves it week in, week out that the only time anything happens is after a prime time investigates.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You could literally have a carnage in the streets, but if it wasn't on prime time, then you mightn't get the minister to comment.
That's right.
You know,
you control the two media centres.
So for me, it's like the mobile on the front of a child's cot. Yeah? If you swing that and get the child to focus on that, done. And that's all we are. We're just sitting back as kids in a cot, and whoever, RTE or the government or whatever, are just going, look at this here, look at this here. And what I tried to do was, for once, push that out of the way and see what was beyond that. And that's an analogy that I'm going to try and continue on. What's outside of this pram? What's outside of this reality that we've all become super, super comfortable with? I want to jump out of the buggy and start investigating.
Well, Tony said it a couple of weeks ago, and it ties into we're trying to keep on this idea that, stop punching down on people. If you can punch in your own weight class, or punch up even better.
And more.
So the punching down on thing, you learn in stand-up comedy that it's easy to do cock jokes, right? Or to slag off women. Yeah, that's kind of knob jokes and slagging off women is punching down. And the difficult thing is to, take the piss out of government in an intelligent way. Yeah. So it's kind of a lazy approach. It's the approach that people who don't have the skill to do anything else would do. Like when someone starts in a job and they become a mini Hitler, because they don't have the skill to actually do the thing with competence. So they start banging out all these rules and blah, blah, blah. Where if they actually knew what they were doing with competence and they were surrounded by intelligent people, they'd run it like adults. They'd run it just much more efficiently.
Well, that's the second part of it is join the dots. Don't punch down, join the dots. And the third part is build something new. Don't keep trying to tear down what's there. If you build something better, something new, people will move.
And I think that's what I was trying to do with Apollo, was just, here's an alternative, here's a different way of doing it. We have millions being pumped into the homeless industry.
And it is an industry.
It's an industry, it's an industry now.
And Peter will tell you himself, Peter McFerry, that the hostels are kips. Some of them are, the rare exception. Like, my dad was homeless last year for 6 months, and because he's 70 odd years of age, he was put into somewhere that was half decent. So that's the rare exception. But the majority of them, the dog boxes, smelly dog boxes. And I know Anthony Flynn is trying to highlight that this month, and with photographs and stories from people. But they're kips. And what I tried to do was take the ugliest building in the city a week before Christmas, at the end of 100 years, 1916, with some homeless people, some activists, some unions, a bit of legal support, and some interesting names that couldn't be torn down, like Glenn and Jim, right? And go into a building and just start to kill it out. And in my head, Conor McGregor was opening up a gym on the 9th floor. You know what I mean? Roddy Doyle was opening up a library. You know what I mean? That's the way I was doing it. Yeah. I was just thinking, what would I love in
my utopia,
in the Ireland that I want to live in? That everywhere, and that's probably equality. Everywhere has these things that you would imagine that everywhere would have. You know what I mean? A great library, a great gym. I wanted a roof garden on the top. I had the best chefs in Temple Garden or Billy Scurry. Some of the best chefs in the country come in and run a kitchen and do 3 meals a day. So just continue on that theme. I had a medical team come in, Lynn Ruan and a couple of other different heads. You know what I mean? What's the best? What's the world classness that we can get here? And we have it in this country. And let's just try to get everybody on that. interested in that. And then people were coming out, like there was people coming out, oh yeah, I have a master's degree and blah, blah, blah. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I saw
Homeless people were coming up to me. I have a degree in finance. And my brain just started going, join the dots, connect, make things happen, blah, blah, blah.
there was a ridiculous moment yesterday where the Taoiseach was fighting with Micheál Martin, and he actually said to me, he threw at Micheál Martin, last week you wanted to decrease school sizes, then this week you want to increase capitation fee. That you're making all of these promises and they can't be done. And the joke behind that is, that's the Damien English line of where you're going to get the money for that. Yeah. But the funny thing is, we do have plenty of resources, we've plenty of talent, and we have places models that work, and they work for less money than we actually put out. And as you said, $1 billion went into Ballymun. Where did it go? Because it didn't all go into putting up the new towers to replace the old towers. Mm-hmm. Money, we've a tendency to burn through it and not get value for it. We have there's better ways of doing things if we took simple things like looking at how another model works in another country and adopting it, or getting the expertise that's here. We meet people here in this little room here. We've met more people that could fix the housing crisis than work in the bloody Department of Housing.
Yeah, I seen a thing today, 3D house, €8,000, and it's dry in 24 hours. Done, right? The €1 billion, the word equity comes into my mind because it was a great opportunity to spend the €1 billion, but have a community, have ownership of its own community. You know what I mean? And build housing co-ops and so on. Yeah. Then the other thing about the Dáil is I try to look at everything and then do a 180 on it, right? So they're in there and they're making the balls of things, and then a couple of times a year they fuck off and go on holidays, right? What I'm interested in is at that time of year, just weld the gates up. Yeah? Don't let them back in. And we're done.
Yeah. See, now you're on to the second pillar of my revolutionary theory. When you do it on Paddy's Day.
Yeah.
All out fucking country and just don't let them back in.
Or do it the week before Christmas, 100 years, 1916.
And just don't let them fucking back in. Mm-hmm. Don't let them back in. Just don't let them back in.
Yeah.
Keep them out of the country. They're not doing anything. In fact, the country tips along quite nicely when they're all on holidays, and everybody forgets this. It tips along quite nicely. We've had how many years of this, I don't know what you want to call it, they call it new government or whatever, where they're both tossing each other off in government to keep each other in power, and nothing's happening.
Yeah.
There's no houses being built. The hospitals are getting worse. So what are they there for? If they can't provide the basic building blocks of a society, what are they there for?
For me, it's like a virus or a scab that you've always had. You know what I mean? And you don't know what it's like not to have it. It's like one of those things in your lip that you've had for 10 years.
But if you think Enda Kenny was...
And one day it falls off, and then some young one looks at you and she wants to kiss you. You know what I mean? And you go, oh, this is interesting.
But all your life, Enda Kenny was a TD. From the time you were 18 years of age, if you lived in where Enda Kenny was standing, he was your TD. All your life, up until, 2 years ago? All your life. I mean, there's no fucking change. You're talking about stagnation. That's the huge stagnation. These fuckers are sitting in there for life.
For me, it's like the lads who sell crack outside my door. Yeah? They're not really intelligent. They just, they have an opportunity. They have a couple of numbers. Like, how many people are in Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael together? Probably 100 people, is it?
Well, there's about 20,000 active membership.
No, I'm talking about active membership.
Elected TDs. What have you got? On one side you have 47, on the other you have 30.
It's about 70 people that have been running this country
on and off for 100 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's about 70 people selling drugs in my community. You know what I mean? And they're hustling. And let's imagine a day that we don't have them there. How do we walk towards that? Let's imagine, that. Because that's really all it is. These are hustlers.
Yeah, but they've put out the story. Look, we're the best drug dealers. We're the guys give you the least amount of hassle. You let any other drug dealers in, there'll be shootings on the streets. It'll all be put out your arms. Vote for us because the alternative is absolutely fucking worse. Yeah. And that's the narrative they put out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why everybody's in a politics of fear. We don't vote who we think is the best person. We vote who we think is the least damaging person.
Mm. I vote for who, for some reason, I vote for who does stuff in my community because I see them. You know what I mean? And I think that's. I'm interested in communities having equity, having power, having a bit of control.
Local government type of stuff.
Ground up. No, ground up. Actual co-ops.
Alright, so Dublin City Council
is up the road.
Is up the road there, and there's councillors, and they have meetings, and they discuss Mary's Wall down the road is falling over. And these people, do they get paid for doing that?
Yeah.
That's a job. To sit in a room, and that lamppost down there is this, you know what I mean?
County councils don't get paid a whole lot, and there was a big court.
16,500, I think.
And I know from a couple of people who are doing it that everybody is inundated with
Yeah. So what I'm saying is share it out in the community. There's loads of people out there who will take on a little bit of that. You know what I mean? A little bit of the administration. It's like when they're doing really advanced mathematics. They share it out. They have a distributed network. They share it out amongst thousands of computers all over the world. And every computer has to do a tiny bit. And they're none of them are inundated. You know what I mean? And everybody has accountability and responsibility. Because my mate was a Dublin City Councillor and he got hounded. He absolutely got slaughtered. And the same person on the same day would call him the biggest fucker in the world, and then they'd go, "Oh, you're amazing." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
on the same day.
Yeah.
So they're being personally attacked, and they have to deal with that. They're not getting, they're not getting much wedge out of it.
Not a lot of money, no.
So what I'm saying is locally, distribute the work out.
And the problem with what's broken, what we've seen in the county councils that's really broken, is that it's mixed between actual county councillors who are maybe trying to make a difference in the local community, and county councillors who really all they care about is this is the conveyor belt to becoming the candidate for the next election. Putting the time in to become a TD. It's a conveyor belt of pre-packaged TDs where they want to be then, next stop minister. But so what you have is you've got a broken defunct system where we're conditioned and we know this is what's coming next, because you see the posters go up, and all that matters is that they're going from 16 grand to 88 grand to 121 grand, and that's the career progression,
Politics pays too well in this country to attract the right kind of people. Now I know you'll get the Dan O'Briens, and we'll come to that later. But you get the Dan O'Briens will tell you, you got to pay top dollar to get the top people. This is a country the size of a fucking city, the same population as a Manchester-sized global city. Okay. These guys are paying themselves more than the President of the United fucking States.
That's what I'm saying. They're hustlers. They're just hustlers.
To administer what is essentially a city. We have an economy that's only for we owe more money. If we didn't know all the money, nobody would give a shit about our economy because it's not even on scale.
Are you talking about the bank debt money?
Yeah.
So I done the Occupy thing. I was down on Dame Street doing the Occupy thing. There's a couple of crusties there, a couple of middle class heads, a couple of homeless people. Actually, a lot of middle class heads. And I just remember coming home to Ballymun and saying it to people. They were like, it just went over a lot of people's heads. I think it went over most of the country's heads that the people are being given a debt here from speculators.
2% of the EU economy was paying 42% of the total EU bank bailout debt.
So it's something. Is it 80 million or something like that this country owes?
We owe 203 billion.
Oh, sorry. I was saying 80 billion. 203. How did it go from 80 to 200?
The bank bailout was, so we be pre-bailout, we probably owed about 65, 67 billion.
We had a great ratio going at the time.
And then we managed to take on.
So we're, as a country now, we, unless we do something with a bit of balls, we're going to be servicing that debt for probably
your kids will be servicing
for 50 years.
100 years. Easy.
Yeah, but it's what it is. It's like when the Dublin City Council say you're on the waiting list for 3 years. It's never actually going to end. You know what I mean? Oh, by the way, anybody in Ireland, if anybody puts you on a waiting list longer than 12 months, they should be sacked. All right, because nobody in this world can predict anything. No economic guys, no scientists, no climatologists can predict anything further than 12 months. So if anybody, let's do this. Let's do this as a hashtag. Hashtag 12-month waiting list, right? If anybody puts you on any waiting list anywhere in the country for medical procedures, for absolutely anything, try and get them sacked, right? Let's do that as a mission. If we do that as a country,
Hey, how do you sack civil servants in this country?
I don't know. There must be some IT guy out there who knows how to come up with an algorithm to sack a civil servant. Come and have a chat with me. Oh, by the way, I'm looking for a computer game programmer. I don't know why I'm shouting into the mic. I have a game that I've half developed because I know how to use Unity, but there's some bits. So any computer programmers, any game designers out there, hit me up.
All right.
How do we sack a civil servant?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm interested in
You get a retired judge. You call a tribunal.
I'm
That's what happens.
I'm interested in getting a group of civil servants together who are interested in the future of Ireland.
Okay, the ones you'll get are down the food chain.
Okay.
The ones that matter.
But there's enough.
Won't touch you with a 10-foot barge.
But I think it's about numbers. I think it's about unity. If you get enough of them that are down the food chain, they grow. Power grows.
Can I say, Martin, that you're arguing against our own point? Dean is right. If you want to do it, you don't play with the status quo. You build something different. So if you build allies with those people and you put them in it, and you actually build enough numbers, and you can actually have enough influence to ignore what's going on.
Civil servants out there in Ireland. My name is Dean Scurry. Yeah. If you want to help us, the people, build the country, the vision, contact us. I don't care where you are in the country. Contact us. If it's 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, that's enough people. Because this country is run by 70 people. Listen to those words. 70 people have run this country since the start of the state.
Okay, and let me tell you what, and we had somebody in who explained a bit of this to us, and I'll go a little further from it. You've got those 70 people, right? They're elected, they're your government, right? They walk into a department, the minister walks into a department, there's two buttons on the table, one is red, one is green. Green gives you lots of publicity, red gives you none. The green is all the stuff that these civil servants have long-term planned, not just 5 years. These guys plan a much longer scale than 5 years. So we'll say like your public services card. Totally wrong. No fucking legislation to back it up, but the green button gives you publicity as long as you go ahead with it. The red one doesn't. So what button are these people going to press? They press the green button because they're programmed to get re-elected the next 5 years. That's what it's all about. It's not about whether it's right, it's wrong. None of that matters. So those 70 people that you think can make the change, they can't make the change. They're sitting there slightly above what the real government is. And the real government is a group of people, we'll say from assistant principal officer up to secretary general. They are the people that run the country. You can't get rid of them. You can't argue with them. In America, when the president gets fucked out, all that top administration layer goes with him because they know you have to remove that layer. You have to take that layer with you, or else they end up being your permanent government.
So let's have a conversation as a country. Maybe here, anybody who knows this stuff inside out, you seem to know what you're talking about, because a lot of this, for me, is just a field of politics that I don't know enough about, and I'm willing to learn. I'd love to book the Access Theatre in Ballymun, get 200 people in, and have like a political economies education session on this type of stuff, because this is interesting. This is where we start to talk about possible strategies for change. Yeah, and I think that's the way we need to do it. I think that's what working class communities need to do, because this knowledge already exists outside of working class communities, and what we don't realise is we outnumber the people who we call our oppressors.
We are many, they are few. And that's it. And
is that Jeremy Corbyn's one, is it?
Well, it goes way back. Way back. But it is. It's how you've got to get rid of that layer that's sitting in there. You've got to get rid of these are the people that are running the country, not the politicians. Forget them. They're media pictures. They're constructs just to keep elections going. I mean, you've got to look at who's in the door at government all the time. It's IBEC.
Yeah, but Martin, no, hang on, because we're going too broad on this now. What you need? There's no point in laying this out. Dean is right. There's people who are more qualified to go through those and give us a breakdown. But what you need to do and focus on, I think what we're getting at is something like what I was saying. I know people think I'm becoming a bit of an anarchist, and I am. But anarchy is actually really means direct democracy, where you build it from the ground up. You actually have people who have local involvement, local ownership, local thing. It goes back to what Orla Hegarty said about you don't need one joint developer to build Ballymun. You get 10 small people, and you know what? You'll employ more people, and you'll actually you'll build it better. There are models that we can look at. There are people who know what they're doing. We just need to get around to bloody doing a lot of it, you know? And you can put influence, whether you believe it or not. Your local TD does have some power. They do pass some legislation, and they are vulnerable.
The layer of armour that's stopping this getting through to people is that you're faced with a media that's telling you the same thing over and over again. They're giving you the establishment line. You turn on RTE, you turn on TV3, you're going to get the establishment line the whole time. The opposite side of the coin that's sitting there dying to come out, never gets a look.
Yeah, but what you said at the start of this conversation is the numbers of people who are watching RTE is depreciating day on day on day.
Yeah.
And shows like this, now I know the numbers aren't great, and it's kind of up for everybody out there to share this podcast, and the lads might be able to afford to improve the audio quality of it. But the more people who watch this and share this and watch other podcasts, because there's loads of them out there in this country, Blind Boys podcast I think is number 1 in the country after a couple of months, and there's really interesting adult conversations happening on podcasts like this, which you're not getting. Here's what you're watching on RTE. You're watching the mobile in the front of your cot swinging back and forth.
Yeah.
Basically. And if you want to see what's beyond that, turn the fucking thing off.
Now
I know more and more people out there, because I don't know when the last time somebody said, "Oh, did you see that thing on RTE? That, or our own channel." Remember that old way of speaking? That's on our own channel. That type of language is gone now. So what are the numbers? Do you know the numbers? What are the people who watch the Late Late Show?
Oh, I wouldn't know, but I just know that they've said season on season it's in decline.
Like, I haven't watched it, and I suppose going back.
You're guilty of watching all the panel shows, and I'll never forgive you for it.
But I don't watch anything like the Late Late. I would never watch it.
The Tonight Show?
He watches it.
I've actually stopped watching it now because it's gone so fucking crap. Like, Vincent Brown was a voice that...
I couldn't watch the Vincent Brown show because the production quality was absolutely shite, but I like Vincent.
Yeah, he brought a voice that was, that, you know, and he wasn't, let's face it, Vincent wasn't far out lefty. He's not far out lefty, not by any means, but he brought a perspective.
Yeah.
And they didn't like the fucking perspective, and they took it away.
Yeah.
So now you have this robotic nonsense the whole time going on.
I was thinking in Ballymun, because one of the things is crack and the crime associated with crack. It's actually not even the crack, it's just the crime associated with the crack. And I was thinking, let's just put up a map of all the places in Ballymun you can buy drugs, right? And that information scared people. Okay? And it's kind of like the information that Vincent Brown was suggesting to put out. And it is the information that you guys are putting out, that other podcasts like this are putting out. We're putting out the map, the honesty, the not just what's true, but what the truth is. And what the truth is, you're looking at something from more than one angle. You know what I mean? You're looking at it from your perspective, from someone else's perspective, and from a totally alien perspective to everybody. So you can actually see the full body of what Ireland is, without using analogies like we're 12 years of age, but using real words, real models to describe where we are, where we come from, and where we're going. And okay, so there's a company coming to Ballymun called the Catalan.
Okay. Yeah. They're going up beside IKEA.
Now, that's great for the Catalan. It's terrible for Ballymun.
What does the Catalan do?
The Catalan is a huge sports retail hotel outlet from France, and they're all over Europe. And literally you walk in and it's like an airport hangar, and it's full of every single type of sports equipment, from hang gliding to horse riding, is in this building at discount prices.
Okay.
Right? Brilliant. And the reason they have these airport size hangars is because everybody's buying online, and in order to have a physical presence, it has to be absolutely huge. So they get they buy in bulk and all that type of stuff, you know. So brilliant for Decathlon, shy for Ballymun. You know, it might bring a handful of jobs, but there's no community value. There's nowhere in Ballymun you can go and buy a pair of socks, go to a butcher's, get a bit of meat, get some veg, and sit down and have a chinwag with somebody for a half an hour after €1 billion being spent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, I don't know where I was going with all that.
Well, no, but like, I mean, the Decathlon's a good analogy, because when you look at Decathlon, this thing drops in it from outer space, and they always find it. They always line them up or across Europe beside an IKEA.
Yeah.
Because it brings footfall and traffic, and it is literally a sports outlet like an IKEA, where you can go get what you want. They're one of the most profitable per foot of square foot, you know, on the shop floor.
Yeah. No, I was in one in Slovenia, right? I think it was Slovenia. I went skiing with a couple of mad jokes, NA heads. I think it was in Slovenia. And we went there, and there was this industrial park, which was about the size of Tala.
Yeah.
And it was all of these mega units, and there was nowhere to sit down and have a chinwag, other than going and having a coffee in a McDonald's. And it's kind of like the point of the film Atlantic. Is that what the film that explored our resources off the west coast?
Yes, yeah.
That huge mega corporations are coming in and ripping the heart and soul out of our communities for profit. And the main question I asked in Apollo House was, what's more important? People, and what emerges from people, which is family and community, and what emerges from that, yeah? What's more important? People or profit or property? Yeah? That's the simplest question that I asked. And if you boil it all down, and as a country, we haven't had that conversation. That's really, as an activist, as a youth worker, as a Ballymunna, as a revolutionary, if asking that question is revolutionary and radical, well then I am a revolutionary. What is more important? Let's ask ourselves as a whole country, is our communities more important, or is the profit and power of you know,
shareholder value
of multinational corporations, is that more important? Because if it is, let's just be honest with each other. Let's be really, really honest with each other, and then we have a starting point. Other than that, we're living in an illusion.
Well, it's down, as Tony said, these people that are pulling the purse strings will always say to you, where are you going to get the money for it? That's what they're always going to ask, where are you going to get the money? Now, it's a loaded question, because when they want money for something, there is always money for something. I mean, at the same time that the housing crisis is building up, Fine Gael are a tax cut party. Let's cut taxes. So
here's where we get money from. We live on a natural resource. Yeah? We live on a rock. In the middle of the Atlantic. We're surrounded by wind, water, gas, diamonds, gold, intellectual property, and we host the biggest corporations in the world, and they walk through here like they're in a gaff doing coke. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
it's just party on.
Oh yeah, this is.
Let's drink the Guinness, let's shag the women, and let's not pay the bill at the end. Okay? The money is there. This is not about money.
Well,
absolutely, this is not about money.
Just yesterday, you have the Minister of Finance saying that the 13 billion and plus whatever penalties is coming through from Apple. Right? So they're going to take that and they're going to stick it in an escrow account.
It's in an escrow account.
Here, hold on. Fucking escrow account. That's me Conor McGregor statement. Fucking escrow account. Show us the money. I'm being like that promoter now that promotes AJ. Show us the money. If it's not there, fuck off.
But every business, anybody who's in business,
hashtag fucking escrow account.
If you have any small business, will tell you that 13 billion is sitting in your account. That 13 billion is never leaving your fucking account ever. You're not giving that 13, but you'll knock so many edges off that 13.
Okay,
billion.
so weld the gates. That's the answer to that. Just weld the fucking gates. If we don't see the money, okay. So the objective, we get 13 billion euro off Apple. The strategy. Yeah?
That's the strategy. They're going to pay down debt.
The strategy, the tactics to get that is...
They won't, man.
Let's set a date. The date is... Give us a date. Give us
I'm telling you when it's going.
Give us an average, because the money exists right now and it can be somewhere...
We won't have it till November.
Okay, so let's say my birthday, the 20th of November, right? If that money is not in Ireland, in an account that we can see publicly, that's, what's that word they use? Transparent, yeah? Let's weld the gates of the Dáil. Simple. I know a lot of the welders. Let's just do it. Okay? Done.
Yeah, but what's going to happen with that money is that they're going to actually try and buy the election.
Yeah.
So they're not going to pay down debt with it, Martin. They're going to actually turn around and say, we'll do something prudent with a little bit of it, and then we'll give tax cuts, and we'll announce it. Whereas we know if they gave a damn about a real Republic of Equality or whatever nonsense he's guffing on about, he'd start a social housing project. He'd start a cooperative in terms of building communities, and he'd put it into health and he'd put it into education. But he doesn't care.
Here's an analogy Irish people will get. Your confirmation is 13 billion euro, the money you got from your confirmation. And your man and dad are going out to the boozer and they're going to neck the whole thing. Okay?
That's true.
And you're too stupid not to slap your hand in the head and say, cop onto yourself, you alcoholic.
But that's exactly what's going to happen.
Okay?
That's exactly.
Hashtag fuck an escrow account. Hashtag weld the gates of the Dáil.
But you're right. But I mean, how do you get... Tony was saying he's a bit of an anarchist, you know, and Tony is a bit of an anarchist in his own way. But you're dealing with people like Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, they'll tell you they're centre this, centre that. But don't mind that. It's what do they want to do with the money? And what do they want to do with the money? What they always want to do with the money is make those who have it get more and those who haven't pay the price for it.
So that's called the accumulation of wealth, yeah?
Mm.
Okay.
So,
cool.
I mean, we look at the housing thing, and what figure did we get HAP that we spending on HAP? Is it 4 billion on HAP by 20?
Like, I mean, when you think 380 people a week are being pushed into HAP, and
boys, we're going too much into their details.
Yeah.
We're playing their game.
Mm.
Here's what HAP is. You're in the buggy, you're looking at the mobile, and the person on the outside is going, HAP. Ah, ah, and you're giggling and smiling. Wake the fuck up.
Yeah,
okay?
But
let's not play their game. In Apollo House, I teased by playing their game, which was chess. What actually is a longer term strategy is a Chinese game called Go. Look it up. It'll take you 2 minutes to look it up. Simple, really, really simple maneuvers. But the strategic potential is much more advanced. Okay? Let's not play their game. Let's show them we know their game inside out. Okay? But let's not play their fucking game.
So how do you build outside the box?
One thing is, you have a vision. You have an objective. You have a timeline. You build allies. You realise that we're only one phone call away from our allies. You realise that no resource is unavailable immediately. Okay? Absolutely. We're talking financial resources. We're talking access to mass mobilizations. We're talking access to skill bases. Every resource that we need is immediately available. And as much of it as we need. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's it. We're playing a game. We can either play their game or we can play our game.
And you keep it simple. You know where you are. You know where you want to go. You know what you need to do, and you bloody well do it. Right?
Yeah.
There's 4 easy steps for you. Now, in the nuance in that, you know, you need experts for certain things. You need people to do certain things.
And they're all there.
Yeah, and they're all there. And little things like podcasts, little things like social mass movements, little things like community town hall meetings. All of that grassroots level activism. That's how you build it. But you do stop playing their game. You start ignoring their calls. So how's the easiest way to make somebody irrelevant is to treat them irrelevantly.
And to realise that we're the grease in their wheels. Yeah?
Oh, yeah,
Stop being the grease. Done. And that's kind of the basis of what the unions have kind of lost in this country. Yeah?
Mm.
Their power in the grease. Because the cogs simply sit there until we enable them to move. And if we just go off and do our own thing somewhere else, they're going to rust up and they're going to become old. And
but the numbers put us, I don't forget the midterm polls, but the numbers from the last election put us we're almost at that 50-50 mark where there's 50% of people care enough to vote differently. Mm-hmm. And then there's the 50% for whatever reasons, greed, fear, whatever it is, are afraid to vote differently.
Yeah.
And you only need a swing 5-10%, and you then have, the numbers are there to have something different. But then you have the problem, how do you get the left to work together?
Yeah, that was one of the things in when I was doing the Apollo Health stuff that we just had viciousness within. Like, it was, the other stuff was easy. The talking to the ministers and the dealing with the media, and honestly, it was fucking easy. It was predictable. What wasn't predictable was the viciousness and the stupidity and the selfishness and greed within. I just thought that was a revelation for me. That's the stuff, that and including some of the cop on comrade, whatever that fucking thing was. That was the stuff that had me rocking back and forward on the sofa during the summer last year, wanting to fucking hang myself. You know what I mean? Was just analysing the vicious selfishness within the left. And I had to just detach myself from the whole process for about 6 months so I could think about that and heal and grow and read and learn and just regroup and re-strategize.
But that exists on the right too, except that profit and
power are the things that
unify them.
Yeah, they help solidify relationships. It's a no-brainer for them.
Well, then you've already touched on what our problem is. Then it's a lack of selling the vision. Because if you have the right vision and you had people who were actually bought into the vision, you could actually heal divisions within it by turning around saying, "Well,
that was good." Vision and divisions.
Oh, Jesus, so
I like that.
But that's what you need.
Glenn was working on a song, "The divide within the divide within the divide within." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, tell him I'm available.
Yeah.
But look, no, I think I have more optimism. And I think I have a lot more optimism because we were doing a podcast where we meet people who have ideas and actually really want to change things. I don't accept anybody who tells me, "Oh, that's more complex than that," or it's just not that simple. Well, it's only made difficult if you don't get on and bloody.
I studied advanced mathematics and computer science, and nothing in this universe is complicated because it's all small bits. And it's just the knowledge and the confidence to take a step forward to do it.
Yeah. I think that's a great place to...
Yeah, well, get over the politics of fear. It doesn't cost you anything to vote differently. So break up the hegemonies that are going on everywhere.
Yeah, not even that, because that's effort, right? And I don't even know what comes from it. Here's for me. In Ballymun, we're trying to do something, right? Which sounds radical and revolutionary. We're trying to have a vision and then start to build a vision within our community. Like, we want a city farm. We want a town centre. And we were looking for permission. And my approach is, let's just walk out and build it. And it's there. And then that's the new reality.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're not asking. It's not the child going, "Mammy, can I have me bottle?" It's just grab the fucking drink and drink the bleeding thing. It's there, and that's the new reality. And now the child can walk. You know what I mean? And now the child can dance. And now the child is going off to college. You just fucking do it. The strings will always be there if the child doesn't grow the fuck up.
But you're clashing then with the political imperative, which is to build units. You want to build a community. They want to build units. And there's the clash.
Yeah, great. Well, let them have their way of doing it, and we will realise that we're the grease that greases their wheels. We'll stop doing that, and we'll just build a new reality, and then what they're doing will cease to have any relevance.
Build something different.
Just go out and do it. Build it. Yeah. Be the change you want to see in the world. Gandhi got it spot on. Now, we know he's a mad-looking yoke, and he had a few dodgy, parts of his history.
Look. His legs aren't anymore.
You know what I mean? My legs are a beauty. Lads, get the legs out. What month is it? Get the legs out.
No, honest to God, you wouldn't want to be here.
Okay, this is from my heart. For anybody and everybody who supported Home Sweet Home, great. It wasn't about you, though. Just so you know that. If you were any way offended, it wasn't about you. What it was about was Ireland having adult conversations. And we're still in that process. So I really, really appreciate everybody getting involved. But we need to still push this on abortion, on the mad, blatant shit that the Catholic Church is up to, on the ridiculous, childish government that we have. We need to just keep on having adult conversations and then start to just look each other in the eye and communicate with each other as humans, and not as objects and not as bits of property and not as scum or shit on our shoe. We're people, so let's just communicate that way.
Yeah, well, I have to say thank you very much for coming in to chat with us.
No problem, it was deadly.
I can say that we're going to have more chats.
Yeah, let's do it.
No, I'm very much, I think myself and Dean now have a nice little set. What we're both thinking, similar lines now, I'm thinking very much the ground up where you just ignore what they're doing over there in their little, in their bubble, and you say, well, actually, if we make our bubble better, people will join the actual movement. Yeah. I think what you're trying to outline there, I think is very important that people get it. It's not just about the individual. It's not about the unit. It's not about the silo that we're put into. It's about the many.
As we said, it's not about the echo chamber either.
Yeah.
How does the echo chamber survive? Do people pay for this shit?
No, this is us. We bankroll it. But anyway,
we crowdfunded a couple of marks. People very kindly crowdfunded.
Oh, Daddy. Anyone out there has a spare price of a coffee in their pocket, give it to these boys so they can get you can just keep the shit rolling.
Listen, folks, thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.
Adios.